Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Rams Hockey Broadcast here with a group of young men and my old good friend, Mr. Zach Lytle, sitting next to me. Tonight's lineup, we have Anthony Alvarado, defenseman for St. Mary's. We have Luca Petroni, a forward for St. Mary's. And we got the voice of Rams TV.
Parker Dunn.
Parker Dunn. Very good. All right, guys, let's get started. We played a few games last week over in San Jose, California. The first game was against La Jolla Country, I believe. And then we followed up the next day with Bellarmine. So, Zach, why don't you take us through the first couple of games, what you thought, where this team's headed. We got a big weekend in front of us, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Well, the first game, I wondered if we'd practiced all year. We played terrible. And then the second game, we tightened it up pretty good and played a really good hockey game against Bellarmine.
What did you guys take away from the game, Anthony?
The first game, it was a wreck.
Why was it a wreck? Why was it a wreck?
I don't think any of us were prepared to go into the game, first of all.
Why would that be? You guys practice 5 days a week, and you're not prepared to go into a game. I don't understand that. Can you explain that to me?
I think just the preparation before in the locker room at warm-ups. Stuff needs to be tightened up to get prepared for hockey games because we came out and we were just not ready to go.
Yeah. What do you think, Luke?
I think it took us a while in the first game to get into the game. Probably till the third period we came around, tied it up, and then started falling.
Then what happened? The wheels fell off. What happened? Yeah. You guys are, in my opinion, you guys are a much better team than the one-loss category, obviously, that we see. You guys prepare during practice very, very well. I'm there for 90% of the practices. You guys seem to have come a long way. You're skating quicker, making the right decisions. It's like when we get out there in the game, sometimes we just mentally forget what you've been taught. So this week you're going to come out and play a back-to-back against the Tahoe Hockey Academy. They're coming. We're going up there Saturday and back home here, which is going to be broadcast, simulcast actually, by KXVS, the voice of Stockton, and St. Mary's TV. And Parker's going to be doing a play-by-play. So, Parker, talk a little bit about yourself and your background and what makes you excited about coming here and doing some live broadcasts and hockey stuff.
Well, I'm really excited to do this broadcast because I was supposed to do the broadcast against Bellarmine at the beginning of the year as the second game after back-to-back days of playing them. And I've always been a big hockey fan. I've kind of grown up just around sports my entire life. And I was really just hoping to get the opportunity to do the broadcasting because career involving it. And the second I got to St. Mary's my freshman year, the broadcasting program had just been created, and I was really excited. And my junior year is my first year in which I got to participate that. And it's been a really fun ride so far, and I've greatly enjoyed doing broadcasting for multiple sports. And the only one I haven't done that I really like is hockey, and I'm really excited to be able to be a part of this inaugural season for the team.
Well, it's fun to have you aboard, and hope big things in your future. You'll be calling the game Sunday, and I'll be a color guy with you, and so will Mike Bird from NBC. Mike Bird. He'll be helping us out on the broadcast. It should be a fun day. The kids are going to come out. I know last time we had a full house there of family members and students and the band and the cheerleaders. We had a great time. So people, if you want to come out on Sunday, puck drops at 5:20. I would suggest you get there 4:30 to 4:45 because it will be a packed house, probably standing room only. So it's going to be good. Parker, do you have a favorite announcer in any sport, and then hockey if you have one?
Well, for me, I'm a big Sharks fan, so I'm a huge fan of Randy Hahn and what he does for the color, and he's just a really exciting guy to listen to. He just comes up with phenomenal calls, and he really just educates fans on the game, any game you watch for the Sharks every given night. And I've always grown up watching him as they're always on TV, and that's been a luxury for me.
Yeah, well, good for you. And do you have any little tidbits like Mike Emmerich has a few, and everybody has a few little tidbits, and I'll get Dustin behind me here has got some hockey background, so if you know a key word or two, or like saucer or pass, or
Well, Rick, there is a thing called the Mike Doc Emmerich vocabulary online.
there is.
Yeah, you could look it up. It's on a website called Deadspin.
We could probably do a whole show on that.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, it's did you hear that? Go ahead and tell them again.
Well,
What it's on?
Some of them are like sauced. There's so many vocabulary words as Mike Doc Emmerich actually is a doctor, and I have to look this up real quick, but he has a doctorate degree. And I think it's around language or speech, something like that crazy, though.
Yeah, he does a great job. I like the one where they pitchforked the puck.
Yeah.
So that means they lifted it high and dumped it into the other zone. It's good to listen to guys that have the enthusiasm for the game. It sounds like you do. So we're looking forward to that. Now, Tahoe Academy. Anybody know anything about Tahoe Academy? Anthony?
Well, when they were first getting started, I had, I think, 2 weeks of camp up there in their campus. And other than that, I haven't really heard much of them. Obviously, they're in the league we're in, and they seem like they're pretty good.
Yeah, well, they're going to be coming. They're coming to play hockey. That's for sure. We got to be ready from the opening drop of the puck. We can't allow them to go right after us, and we play from behind. We've been doing that a little bit this year, but I got to give you guys credit on the other hand. From playing from behind, you guys have always not stopped. You keep coming back. You tie the game, and sometimes things just don't go our way. That game we lost on Sunday, you guys lost 2-0, and I believe both goals were from turnovers. Am I right about that, Coach?
The first goal hit a skate and went right on somebody's stick. So that was sort of a bad break. And then the second, I don't remember the second goal.
Do you remember the second one, Luca?
Me neither.
No, but and then the third one's an empty net. I mean, it counts as a score, but it really doesn't because the game's out of hand and you're trying to get back in it. So I think that when we do get the lead, we've had them a couple times. We just got to stay hard and strong. I thought we were forechecking a lot better in the second game. I mean, Strider Davis was like an animal out there. I mean, he was attacking everything that would move. Made them cough up the puck several times, and we just couldn't. We had good shots on goal, good opportunities, but their goaltender stood tall and made the saves.
That goes back to what he was talking about, preparing. Like a kid like Strider, if he's preparing himself before the game, he knows what he has to do to be successful, and he's concentrating on those things, like everybody else on the team. But if they're in the locker room and they're talking about a dance or a girl or a test or something that's not hockey, then they're not really thinking about what they have to do to be good, and it shows up in the worst way.
Yeah, and Parker, you probably do the same thing. I know you're an athlete, but I'm talking about in your broadcast stuff. You have to. You just can't go on like I do. Can't do what I do, and I don't do it well. But you can't just come in and start off the cuff and going. You have to have some idea of what you're going to do. So how do you prepare? Like this game, this is your first hockey game. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay, so we talked yesterday, the day prior, and you said, yeah, I want to do this. So now take me through your mindset coming into Sunday as far as what you're doing to prepare for this game.
Well, with every broadcast I've learned over my 2 years is that you can't really take it lightly the same way that you can as a hockey team. Like, you have to go into it prepared. You have to provide yourself with as much stats, players' names, and any sort of analytical standpoint that can really help you put together the best broadcast you can. You can't just do it last minute, otherwise it's going to be shown in your broadcast.
Yeah, and everybody takes pride. The coaches take pride in what they do. I take pride in this show. We try to put on a good show for people and get the team involved and the fans involved. This is, like I said, inaugural year. We'll look back in 10 years and think, holy buckets, where did we come from all this time, right? But you guys are the first to do everything. You know what I mean? First goal, first penalty, first goal on the road. It's a lot of firsts this year, and we got to get our first win. That brings us up to the first win. But wins are, again, I'm gonna say this throughout the whole year. Wins are not everything. People judge you by wins and losses, but it's how you guys are preparing and getting better. I think the coaching staff after Sunday, we talked a little bit, and they said that the guys played much better, and you did. The second game, you guys just were having a tough time mustering up the goal, but we played stronger and better as a unit. And I think, like you said earlier, Anthony, the team has to, at some point, prepare better, think about hockey. I mean, you guys get there, you're there an hour and a half prior to the game. You guys go out and do a dry land workout, get you going a little bit. But I think when you go in the locker room, it's got to be all about how we're going to play the game, shift by shift, person by person, what you took in practice that week to bring it out. And it can come from a freshman, it can come from a senior, it can come from a junior. It doesn't matter. Somebody's got to take leadership and say, hey, come on, guys, we got to focus. Because what's the goal besides winning? What's the goal for most of the players there? Luke or Anthony, either one of you can answer.
Making the person next to you better.
That's part of it. But I'm saying, what is your end goal? In other words, when you become a senior at St. Mary's High School and it's your final year, you played 3 or 4 or how many years you played, where's your goal? Where is it that you see it? You're going to hang it up at the end? You're going to go become an accountant or whatever it might be. Is that your end goal, or what's your end goal, Anthony?
Well, obviously we want to play in college or play juniors somewhere out in the world, but I mean, at the end of this, when you're a senior, you just want to look back and like say how I've helped the hockey program grow since this is our first couple years. But obviously, like I'm sure me and Luca, we both want to go play college hockey somewhere, and that's the dream for most Americans.
So what do you do? I know I watched both of you playing for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now together with the Colts and now at St. Mary's. Where do you think you can improve your game to go to the next step, the next level?
Me personally, I think just being smarter with the puck and just making better plays, more hockey IQ plays.
And what's the other part of getting to college besides playing hockey?
The grades.
Yeah. People don't realize, I went to Minnesota with the team, and we had a lecture from that league, the North American
Hockey League.
Prospect League. And the guy was up there speaking, was telling her, you're a lot of great hockey players, but the colleges also look at your academic part. And sometimes we forget that that's what we're there to do. And I know it's tough, especially for you the freshman, coming to a school like St. Mary's. A lot of homework, a lot of study, and you guys got to really manage your time. And I think that's a little bit of the problem on both sides, either the hockey side and the academic side, that you guys are trying to figure it out. I mean, here you come from a school, you're freshmen, and the other schools, I don't know if they were easy or whatever, but they weren't the same intensity, right? So now you guys got to juggle practice every day, weightlifting every day, and then doing your schoolwork every day. Now that becomes a challenge to some people. So usually what happens, and you might know this through the other sports, Parker, that sometimes your academic side slides a little bit. But that's the difference to get that work ethic in and doing it. I mean, you have to discipline yourself. And I think what happens is a lot of these guys, like Luca, you're not at home every night. You live with a family. There's a lot of kids. So it's almost like, hey, it's a vacation. I'm not home with my dad, mom. They're not hounding me. And it's like a first-year college student, because there you're all self-driven. Teachers don't care if you don't come to class, you don't come to class, you don't pass. It's simple. And that's similar to St. Mary's. They do care. They want you to pass, but you guys got to look differently. So how are you switching around? Because I know, Anthony, you started off okay, and you've slid a little bit, and now you got to dig yourself out of the hole. And Luca, unfortunately, you put yourself in a big hole. And I'm not picking on you guys. It's just this is a learning thing for most people that don't understand. It's and I know your mom and dad very, very well. They're like my sister and brother, so they want you to perform, and so do you. You don't want to be fighting from behind the 8 ball. So, Anthony, I'm going to start with you. What are you going to do differently to not miss assignments and to really try to do well on your tests? Because that's a big part of your grade at St. Mary's is turning in your work on time and doing well on your tests. So, what are you going to do different?
Well, definitely, I've always been a big procrastinator, and that needs to change. It's definitely different than having 2 practices a week and 1 workout or 1 weightlifting, because if you have multiple assignments, you could put it off for a day, you don't have practice, but now you have to manage your time, like you said, way better because we have practice and weights every day.
So would that be like putting the phone down? I mean, I'm constantly on everybody about these phones. You have to have it for some reasons, but these phones are a distraction because they're getting tweeted and chat tapped or whatever it is, Snapchat and all these different things. And I found out the other day that Facebook's for old people, so I fit right in. That's what I use, Facebook. But anyhow, you got to change what you're doing, and you can't put it off till tomorrow because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and then you double up your problems.
Like yesterday, we had me and him had a geography test to study for, so I took his phone, I took mine, I threw it at the end of the bed and turned him off so we didn't have to touch him.
And you forgot about them and went to school without your phones?
No,
No.
we studied and then we went to sleep.
But your keys you left there. But that's another story. Look at what are you going to do different, or what are you doing different? Because you've come up a long way from where you were. But what are you doing different besides your mom calling you every night, making sure you're doing your homework?
Honestly, it's just when I do my work, not like BSing it.
Yeah, just pretend like you're doing sloughing off.
Like I'll do it, but I won't really like apply myself to it. So I have to change that, which I've been doing.
Yeah, it's just like being on the ice, man. Right? You don't do the drills right, you're going to do it over and over. You're going to go up and back and all those things because you got to dial it in, right? Mm-hmm. So you guys got to. We're not even what are we a third through the year in quarter. We're a quarter. So let's see if we can. You guys be the lead group, and I know we have other players on the team that struggle. Some of them are doing very well. Hunter Hayes is. I know he can't get below a 4 because I've talked to both his parents. So different outlooks for different people. But getting back to the grade, and I'm going to get to you because you're a unique individual. This kid here, and by the way, he's the special guest. If nobody figured that out yet, lost my train of thought. So you guys get up every morning, you go to school, or you go to practice. Some of these practices are 6 in the morning. They come in, you ought to see them. I can't say that. They all look like Oriental people. The eyes are very closed, and they come in the door, and they're half asleep. And that's not politically correct.
I think you really overstepped.
I stepped. I'm sorry. For all the Asians out there, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to step on you. So anyhow, but it's fun to watch them walk in, and then they get out and hit that ice, and then Coach Eisler is waking them up out there on the ice. It's good to see. But we have to get better at all around as players. And I think, going to you, Coach, I think that these kids need to focus better, and they need to get a grip because I think, like you said, when we were in Minnesota, you guys think you're on vacation.
Yeah, I think big step forward for all of them would be to own what they're doing. I think a lot of them assume that stuff just magically gets taken care of.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I had to talk to my teacher about rescheduling a test.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had to go and check and see if there were assignments I was missing. Like, they think that that's going to be handled for them. Some of them, not all of them. But they have to own that themselves. And then as young adults, becoming adults, they have to be responsible for the detail stuff that they don't want to do, like paying bills and stuff. So yeah,
paying bills was funny. My first bill I paid umpteen years ago, in 2 weeks I had it back, and I said, I just paid this thing. It's not been a month, but they send it out 2 weeks early, so it's like it's always there.
So once they figure that part out, that there's not little magic fairies that come and take care of all their little problems for them, that they have to take care of them themselves, and they start owning it, then it gets a little easier about time management and not getting caught off guard because you're on top of everything.
Right.
You're supposed to be.
How was it for you, Parker, when you were way back, many years ago as a freshman? What school did you come from? Here?
Presentation.
Presentation. So you've been to Catholic school your whole career.
Yes.
They're probably a little more disciplined than public schools,
Yeah.
I would say. Wouldn't you say, Anthony?
Yeah.
So take us through when you became a freshman, then you took on all this stuff. And
Yeah, I've always prided myself in trying to stay on track and always get my work done. I've always thought that I've always worked really hard to get where I'm at academically. And I played football freshman and sophomore year, and I've been on the golf team up until this year, and I'm going to be embarking on track. And that's a difficult thing to balance both things, but at the end of the day, I know that I have to manage my time well. I can't procrastinate. I have to get things done, otherwise I won't be able to meet my goals. My goal's always been to attend USC, and that's one of the most difficult schools to get into nowadays. So I know that I have to apply myself to my schoolwork if I want to get where I want to go in life, and that's part of the job. So I have to constantly be working hard every day.
oh, that's great. Yeah, SC. What kind of grade point average you have to get to be an SC?
The average is only 371, but it's the test scores that really get you. The average SAT is a 1450
Wow.
out of 1600. So very difficult. But my dad went there, and also my aunt did. So it's a part of my lineage, and I'm just really hoping that I could be a part of something that special.
You see how well spoken this guy is? You guys got to take it up. And Max out there, Max, and out in Radio Land, listen to this man talk. Guy talks better than all of us up here. Does a great job. That leads me to ask you the question: are you prepared to take over the other Thursday nights?
Well, it just depends on my schedule. I would be happy to report on different sports around St. Mary's and potentially reach out to coaches and players and get some info on those teams and utilize all my sources so that I could potentially do that. It'd be a great opportunity to get some more practice in through broadcasting.
Yeah, and so you guys know that we're here every other Thursday night, so it would be the off Thursday nights that Parker would take over, and then he'd be in here for St. Mary's sports and everything other than hockey. He could even talk about hockey if he wanted to, but you guys get that enough twice a month, so he can give the football, baseball, tennis. They have 27 different
They've got
teams.
a lot of sports, yes, for both girls and boys. There's
so you got like 2 years of production in front of you, right?
lots of information to go off of, yes.
So again, I'll review a few things like this Sunday. We play. Let's go back to Saturday. We play up in Tahoe Saturday. I believe it's 1 o'clock. Am I right, Coach? Somewhere in that time zone. Yeah. If you're off, it's a nice drive. The weather's supposed to be nice this weekend. Go up there and watch St. Mary's play. They return home that night, getting a good night's sleep, and then we're back on the ice on Sunday, right here at our home rink. I don't believe we play in Oak Park anymore this season. I'm not sure of that 100%, but it's going to be a while before we come back to play right here in our own backyard. Parker will be doing the broadcast. Again, like I said, puck drops at 5:20. It will be a full house. We had to turn people away last time. We don't want to do that. The hockey team has come up with a program, a roster program. They're not free of charge, unfortunately. It costs money to produce them, but they're very, very nice. I've seen them. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the San Joaquin magazine. Very similar to that. Nice, thick book with a lot of player pictures in there. A lot of, thank goodness, a lot of advertisers that wanted to advertise in our brochure. So they'll be available on Sunday. Come in. Parker will autograph them for you. Big autograph session. So it's going to be a fun time. St. Mary's hockey's coming. It is coming, folks. I hate to tell you that this thing is going to be here for a long time. These kids are working every day out there.
Did you want to talk about the dinner?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up, Coach Zach. That's what I have. I have producers and directors right in front of me. I love it. Yes, we had a very successful dinner. Thanks for bringing that up. The 27th, we had a big event at the school. We had probably 80 to 90 people there. The boys served dinner. Didn't have any bad reports on the boys. They were very well tipped. Did you guys? How much money did you get to put in a pool?
I didn't get that much.
Not individually. We're talking about everybody went in the pool.
I know. Jack got, I think,
$160.
yeah, no, close.
$160. Wow. Was he polishing silverware too that night?
It was my mom. It was my
Oh,
parents.
your
Sorry,
mom.
sorry, parents.
Yeah, he had the lucky table.
Well, anyhow, they went in a pool of money for these boys for incidentals on the road because we forget toothbrushes and hair pieces. I'm not hair pieces, but hair combs. Kyle, that was to you. Anyhow, they got a group of money. I haven't got the final tallies yet from the school, but we're thinking somewhere we raise about $5,000. So great turnout. I want to thank yes, I want to thank everybody that came, and I especially like to have a shout out to Mike Robinson, the owner of the Bunk Cake store there in Lincoln Center. Great guy, big supporter of St. Mary's. He paid $3,500 to fly to Monterey in a private jet. That was the big auction item that night. He stepped up, and we appreciate his efforts. So I think he's going the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and they're flying over, spend a day in Monterey, and fly back. It's a big flight. It's about 20, 25-minute flight in the air over to Monterey from Stockton. But again, Mike, we reach out to you and thank you very much for supporting hockey and Rams hockey. We've invited him to come on the show, but this is his busy season. And he's a former hockey player himself. He played hockey many, many moons ago. Did you know that, Parker?
No, I was not aware.
Come on, Parker. You're supposed to have all that insight for me. But it was a good night. We had a 50-50 raffle, and I think somebody won $400, and school made some money, the hockey team. So all in all, it was a great night. Coach Zach was in his fabulous pink shirt.
I look good.
He looked fantastic. The pink and the blue eyes, I mean, it just was marvelous. I mean, I had more comments about him. We tried to auction him off, but there was no takers. We wasn't getting much. We had to pay them to take you.
I was feeling good about myself.
Until then. All right, well, you know, people just don't see you through my eyes. That's all there is to it. Okay, getting back to hockey and all the gibberish that we're going through. When they play, anywhere they play, they're looked at by scouts from either junior college or college, some junior hockey teams. We were in Minnesota. We played a 7 a.m. game. So that just tells you don't have to play in prime time. I mean, these scouts are out at 7 a.m. in the morning to watch a game. We had two players that were asked to come out of the locker room to talk to, I guess he's a recruiter, is that what you say, or a scout? One of the players was here with me tonight, Anthony Alvarado, and the other one's Alex Gano. So I'm going to ask Anthony, what did he like about your game, or what did he say to you? I don't know. Talk to us about that.
Well, first of all, he just told us about his team and the league that they're in, and obviously it's one of the better junior leagues in North America.
So we're going to keep it a secret as to what his team was?
Is the NAHL, the North American Hockey League.
Yeah. And
we're in the NAPHL, and the NAPHL is basically like I don't know how to explain it. It's like most of the players that play in the NHL come from the NAPHL.
Okay. Now, what was the name of his team?
It was the Minnesota Wilderness.
Minnesota. That's probably pretty good because a lot of wilderness in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then what age group is his kids?
Anywhere from 16 to 20. So
16 to 20. So that'd be moving up from 18s and down. What did he say that he liked? Did he say I liked certain parts of your game, or was that even mentioned?
Well, obviously he talked about how much he thought we were like quality hockey players, but he also told us to always work on our the little stuff in our games. Earlier at the lecture, they had a quote, and it was basically just find your separation, and that's what he basically emphasized on me and Alex, is just to keep getting better every single day.
So what are the little things? What would that be?
Go out and shoot pucks for 20 minutes, go stick handle for 10 to 15 minutes, just do something little to make you better than you were yesterday.
So as a coach, you emphasize that all the time to the players. It's the little things. I think some of the kids have big places to go, but most of them, they're right there. They're just little things, differences that they can do in their game to make it an easier game for them and become a better player. What?
They all have things that they can work on, and I think human nature is we want to do the things that we're good at, and we want to kind of ignore the things that we're weak at. And, you know, like for Alex Gano, sometimes he just overhandles the puck. And he's very skilled, and he can do a lot of good things, but if he gave the puck up more and got himself into open ice, he'd make the game much easier for himself, and it would be a much faster game, which is what those guys at Scout like to see, is speed and good smarts. And, you know, with Anthony, he's still a freshman, so he's got a few years to work his way up there, but, you know, just fundamentals, constantly improving your fundamentals. You know, with Luka, he's got to get stronger. You know, he's smart. He's a real smart kid on the ice, maybe not in the classroom, but on the ice he's real smart. And he just needs to have his strength to make plays that his brain is thinking of. And physically, he's just not strong enough yet, but he's getting there.
You'll get there. You will get there. You work hard. It's a work ethic. And you probably have the same in your field. I'm not talking about sports, but I'm talking about what are the little things in your craft that you have to do to get better. This is, like I said, you're going to learn a lot probably in this game, but I'm talking about in general. What will stand you apart from another broadcaster? What's going to make Parker the guy we want to listen to and not ABC guy?
Well, just practicing your stick. You got to get good at what you do. You have to do multiple broadcasts, as many as you can, just to get familiar with the setting and just the way to approach certain games. And stuff like this is a great opportunity for me to just get familiar with the radio or whether it's on camera. And you just have to continue practicing. And it really helps if you watch your broadcast after and you critique it, you maybe take notes, and you just really see how you could have said something better or you could have elaborated on something that would help out the viewer. So there's a lot of little things that you can do here and there to work your stick.
Now, I grew up in Southern California, and I know I'll get boozed for that, but a great, we were talking about it earlier at the Dutch Brothers Coffee before our show here today. One of the greatest, there are a couple of them, and maybe there's other guys out there, but I grew up with Vince Scully and Chick Hearn. Probably, both those, when I was a kid, there wasn't much on TV. We had 3, 10, 13, and we had to use rabbit ears, okay? So we didn't have the luxury of cable and being able to see facial hair on certain people. I mean, it was nothing like that. So when you listen to broadcasts on the radio, those guys would bring you like you were right there. You could watch their game through their words. It was really interesting to me. I finally figured out Scully's shtick. The Dodgers were always good when I was a kid. They couldn't hit to save their rear ends, but some of you guys, Mike Bird, if you're listening, you'll appreciate this. They had a guy named Maury Wills, who was a prolific base stealer. He didn't really hit well, but he got on base. He would walk, and he'd steal second, and Jim Gilliam, who was their second baseman, would single him home, and they'd win games 1-0. That was in the first inning, so it was very boring. But Scully had stories about everybody, the opposing team, the players, and he kept the game, even though it was a boring 1-0 game. Some people like him, but not a lot of action, right? But he kept you interested until the 9th inning. And the Dodgers were a good team back then. They had Koufax and Drysdale and several other pitchers, but they won a lot. Claude Osteen, they won a lot. So, but he could have a last place team coming to play him. And when you've done listening to him, you thought the Dodgers beat the first place team. And he built that other team up in your mind while you were listening to the game. And it was really a thrill to listen to him. I'm sorry to see him retire, but I think he's like 80-some years old. He finally retired out of baseball. But the guy had his niche. I mean, he was a storyteller. And even when it went to TV, did a lot of simulcasts. So he continued the same shtick. Whereas you watch nowadays baseball, it's good because you get to see a lot more of the game. but they're not storytellers anymore. What you see is what you hear is what you see on the TV, right? So it's a different era. I get it, but I think that's part of the thing. It keep you're interested. Like if you got a 5-0 blowout game in hockey, you got to keep them interested because nobody cares. The game's over, right? Third period, halfway through, you're down 5-0. The chances of you coming back are slim to none, and slim left town, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to keep that viewer there. You don't want them turning the dial to something else, right? So that's got to be something that do you think about that at all prior to the game? Well, if we get into where it's a boring game, what am I going to do to keep the people interested?
Yeah, like for me, I broadcast a lot of football games, and St. Mary's, for those of you viewers out there who aren't aware, are a very dominant football team, and they play in a league that, not to talk down upon any other teams in the league, but they're just not quite up to the level of the Rams. The Rams have built a phenomenal program, so they tend to win games by a pretty wide margin, so you have to, as a broadcaster, keep the game interesting. You want to keep the viewer intrigued, so that they'll continue to watch your broadcast regardless of the score. You have to find other ways throughout the game to make it more fun to watch.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge in broadcasting, to keep your audience listening to you and wanting to know more, or that type of thing, and keeping them interested. Chick Hearn was another one. I don't know if you ever listened to any of his broadcasts. I'm sure you can go on YouTube because they got everything. If you don't know how to fix something, go on YouTube. Go ahead.
I was going to say the best basketball announcer of all time, a lot of people's opinions.
Yeah, I mean, he put people in a popcorn machine. For those that heard him know it, he would always fake them into the popcorn machine and score, so.
Worked solo, too, most of his career.
Most of his life. Yeah, he had a couple during the years, but, yeah, he was the dominant guy. I mean, it was pretty good to listen to, and I'm sure we've had him up here. Hank Greenberg was good. I mean, he just passed away. So there's been a lot of good broadcasting people out there. Dick Enberg was great because he could do multiple. He did baseball, he did football, he did tennis, I believe. So he was another good broadcaster. So hopefully we'll be watching him someday on TV, and I remember when that kid was on our little Podunk radio show in Stockton, California. So good luck to you in the future. Now, how do you guys, going back to our celebrity players, how do you guys, when you're getting blown out, and we haven't been blown out of any games this year, I really got to say we've been in most of the games, but I'm talking back years ago, and Anthony, you've played on them, I've watched it. I mean, teams are getting beat 10-0 or 9-0. That's got to be frustrating as a player to go out there and you're getting your tails beat. How do you do that? I mean, do you just give up, or you just go out there and say, "Okay, I'm skating a shift. Can I get off, coach?" Or what do you do? I mean, how do you get through that initial thing?
Well, for me, I just try and take it shift by shift, and just try and make the shift that I'm on now make it better than the last one, and just try and stay mentally tough, and not let my emotions get the best of me, because stuff could happen. But me is just trying to make my shift now better than the last one.
What about you, Luca?
You kind of said it. Just make sure your next shift's better than your last shift.
Take one shift at a time. So, and I think the coaching staff kind of drills that into you guys. It's easy to look up at a score and see, man almighty, how are we ever going to get out of this situation? But each shift relies on their own. So you start. I mean, I think in football they probably do play-by-play. In other words, I don't mean that broadcasting-wise, but each play, you start here. I got to win this down. I got to win the next down, or I got to win this period, or I got to win the next 5 minutes. We got to get a goal in the next 5 minutes, or we can't allow a goal in the next 5 minutes, and then you move on from there. Little steps, get the whole thing. Anthony, you were lucky enough to be in the select group. Last year from Northern California. I don't know how many people are picked for your age group. I don't know how many, but then you go into L.A. and so forth. And I asked some of the evaluators, what do they look for when you're out there? Because you all look fairly the same. I mean, some kids stand out more than the others, but for the most part, they're pretty good. He says they look at, number one, because there's nobody telling you to change lines. The evaluator's on the bench as a coach, but that's the end of it. He doesn't tell you, okay, switch or get off the eye. they look to see if the individuals got smart enough that they're not staying out there for an hour and a half, or a minute and a half, and just not playing because I want to be out here because I might run into a puck, or you getting off on time. And the biggest thing they said, we look for players that make their team better, not themselves better, but their team better. And I think that's a big key. You know, when you're younger and you play in leagues, you usually have one or two players that are very good on the team. They shovel the pass off to them, and off they go, and everybody becomes a spectator, and whatever happens, happens. But when you start getting players of the same caliber or better, you got to figure out the game differently. And I think that that really stuck out in my mind when he said, you have to make your team better. You think... What did you think on something like that, Coach? What's your thought process?
Pretty wise.
Pretty wise.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of simple, but it's hard to do. Right?
Very hard to do because you see a guy come across, and just like we were talking, we got players that obviously want to be the goal scorer. That's in most people's mind, or the kid that hits the home run, or the wide receiver that can get 80-yard touchdown pass, or whatever. That is, man, you're the man, man.
We have a kid like that right now in practice who he likes to shoot the puck. He doesn't like to pass it too much. And you know, one of the things that you always try and push is when you have the puck, you're a servant to the other 4 people on your team. You know, you have to move the puck around to them, and that makes them good. And by doing so, it's better for the team.
Yeah.
So you might not get the goal, you might not get the point, but the team is better for the play you made.
Right.
And it's a hard thing to get, you know, young kids to understand because
Yeah.
they want to do it themselves.
Right. So that it's not an eye game; it's a team game, right? I heard something the other day. They were asking, what's the coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets? What's his name? Tortorella. They asked him, who's a better player, Sidney Crosby or Alex Ovechkin? And he says, actually, it wasn't Alex Ovechkin. I take that back. It was
McDavid.
Not even McDavid, Matthews. They said, who's a better player? And he said, there's no question who's a better player. He said, Sidney Crosby. And they said, well, Matthews has done this, that, and the next thing. He says, that's fine. He's young. But he's not the player Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby elevated his team around him to win Stanley Cup champions. He hasn't done that yet. Until he does that, Crosby's got to be the better player because he's elevated everybody else's game around him. And Gretzky, I believe, did the same thing. He elevated the game around him. He had guys that were, I won't want to say mediocre, but run-of-the-mill hockey players. They're obviously in the NHL, so they're better than most, right? But he elevated their game. They wanted to be on his line because they better be ready because that pass be coming to them or whatever, or the rebound's coming. So that's the kind of player that you want to be known for as a team player, that you're playing for the whole team, not just yourself. And if you have to sacrifice yourself, you hear that, you see a lot of time, and especially if you watch Shark games, that they'll say, so-and-so took a heavy hit but had to move the puck up the ice, right? So you know you're going to get smashed, but yet you don't try to do something weird with the puck. You know where it's got to go. You go and you take your hit, and then you keep on moving. Coach Eisler told us about a guy, and I think you were standing there with me. I couldn't tell you his name. Coach Eisler, you're supposed to be helping me here, but he owned a neutral zone. That was his zone. He didn't score goals. He didn't do much. He wasn't a fighter. He wasn't. But if the puck got to him in a neutral zone, he was going to get it into your offensive zone. That was his job. That's his job on the team, is to make sure that puck gets in. That's all he did. And he played on several Stanley Cup championships, but he was not the marquee player. He was just a player on the team, right? So everybody's got a job on the team to do. Some are the highlight reel guys, and some aren't. But it takes everybody to do it. I think that's something that, as a young player, that you need to figure out and do. And I don't know. You guys give me your thought on that.
Yeah, well, taking back to Crosby and how he makes the people around him better. The first Stanley Cup champion in, was it 3 years ago? 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
The people on his line were players who just got called up from the AHL, and now, like, one of them's playing in Buffalo, and he's having a great season.
Who is that?
Connor Sherry.
Connor Sherry.
So, like, he's elevated other players, and now they have a name for themselves as, players in the NHL, and they have a job in the NHL now. So, I mean, he's made so many players around him better.
What about you, Luca? You got a favorite player or somebody you look up to?
As of right now, I've been watching a lot of Meyer from the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah.
He
He scored a goal the other night, didn't he? Game winner?
Yeah,
I think.
In overtime. Yes.
Overtime, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Attaboy.
tied for the league in
Here's
goals.
my stat, man. He's coming up on me.
Yeah,
Go
he's
ahead.
tied in the league for goals with 11. That might have been passed tonight or yesterday, but at one point it was.
Yeah. So it's interesting to watch these teams as they come. There was a team last year. We talked about that a little bit at the beginning of the season, the Las Vegas Knights.
Yeah.
Where did that team come from? I mean, they had some good players on that team, but they were technically nobodies. I mean, they were players that could be protected by their parent team.
They had a perfect storm of good fortune.
Yes, they did, and they played well as a unit because they had to. I mean, and everybody thought they were going to be the layover team. They're brand new. We'll go in there and mop up with them, and that didn't happen. They took it to what, game 6 or 7? 6.
6.
Game 6 in the Stanley Cups. What a wild run for those guys, So they get the locker room behind them, and they go out there and battle. What do you envision for us, Coach, going down the road as we're going?
Well, the hope is that they all start playing the same way and fast. We want them to play fast. And Coach and I were talking about it today. When you watch them practice and play, it almost looks like there are little finish lines all over the rink. We won the race is over across the finish line. But the rink it's kind of round, so there are no finish lines. You've got to keep the thing going. And they're starting to figure it out. And there are moments in practice where it's really fast and it looks really good, and then it stops. And so the goal is to try and get them all to just play, which is much harder than it sounds.
Yes, it is. You watch. I haven't seen one this year. I haven't had a chance to get over to see the Heat play with the AHL. Those guys, and the NHL, of course, but those guys are constantly moving their skates. They never glide. They're always digging. They're always moving, and it takes a lot of energy to do that. I can't imagine.
Well, they could eliminate a lot of the. I'm talking about the kids now. They could make the game easier for themselves if they brought their concentration level up and they were looking at what's in front of them and then make good decisions. And right now, sometimes they look and see what's in front of them, and then you wonder what were they thinking. Like, that decision was not even close to the right decision.
Right.
What were you seeing? Because we didn't see that. But that was more at the beginning. Now it's getting a little better.
Getting better. One thing I noticed last weekend, that we come in on the wings, and we're shooting the puck high. Now, I realize that we're in a butterfly era of goaltending, but if you shoot the puck high, either he's going to trap it on his chest or it's going to go over the top of the net.
I've told kids that I've worked with that shoot high all the time, like, if you think of it from a goalie's perspective, when you're a little tiny kid, generally speaking, what's the first thing that your dad does with you when you're old enough to do anything? They play catch with you, right? And so you're developing your hand-eye coordination from a real early age.
Right.
So their hands are always going to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So why you would shoot there makes no sense to me at all.
Right. And you got a goal in San Jose because you crashed the net. Somebody brought the puck in, put it off the goalie's pads, it came right out in the crease, and you put it in for a goal. That's what happens, in my opinion, if you shoot lower, because the puck is harder. It's harder for him. If that pad's there, it's pretty hard for him to deaden the puck. I mean, I guess you could, but
Yeah, you you just ruined Lucas' weekend because he's told everybody it was a laser from the blue line.
I haven't said a word about it.
No, in the locker room, he's been.
I haven't said a word about it.
and you put up the dead quail shot. What is that all about? Where you get the puck and you really can't do anything, so you just, I don't know what, you throw a knuckleball up there, hoping that it takes a crazy bounce by the goaltender. I've never seen that shot. Have you ever seen that shot before, Coach?
We were wondering what that was.
Yeah, what is that?
Well, I've heard good things happen when you throw the puck to the net. So as long
Yeah,
as
well, if you put
You
it,
can't scrape the roof of the building.
you never know.
they're
You never know.
they're pop flies going down. I mean, come on. You got to put it on net with a little bit of velocity so that hopefully you get a rebound. And I think we're doing a better job at crashing the net, getting at least
Yeah.
one guy to the net.
Well, that's a big point of emphasis for the last week and a half is having somebody go there because it opens up the ice for everybody else.
Right,
Yeah,
because
it's-
the defense collapses. They see you coming down. They got to collapse. That means everybody on the outside can move up, get a better shot, right? So,
It's like the number one rule of the game.
yeah, the number one rule. You guys can remember that this weekend?
Yeah.
I'm a defenseman, so
That doesn't mean anything.
You were F2 a few times
Yeah.
this week. You know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, don't act like you don't. Dustin, what do you got for us, buddy?
Well, the NHL news this week: 2 coaches were let go.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, which is surprising. One of them is a 3-time Stanley Cup winner, Joel Quenneville. He won't be out of a job soon because, well, reports St. Louis Blues might be making a change. LA Kings made a coaching change also.
Yeah, they were terrible
Yeah,
this year.
Willie
I mean,
Lost
Zarzan
in the
gets
league.
that job. And Adam Oates was brought in as a consultant, the former Capital great and coach. And then the biggest news of the week was the Ottawa Senators. Watch what
yeah.
you say to people nowadays.
what happened?
Well, they were taking an Uber ride in Phoenix.
Somebody
It was 7 of them.
videoed their
Somebody
conversation.
videotaped the conversation, and one of them got caught talking about the coach. Actually, that was Matt Duchene, the former Colorado Avalanche. He was made a comment and basically said how the special team sucks, and he hasn't talked to the special teams coach in like 7 games, and got back to the front office and the world, and now they're all in hot water having to apologize.
Yeah, with today's age, everybody's got to realize Big Brother's watching somewhere, somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just don't know who's listening to you or videotaping you. This is a whole different world from when I was a kid. We had horse and buggy back then. We didn't even have motorized cars, but yeah, it's a big thing. So you guys, especially you younger guys, and I think you guys have been told this before about what you post. Colleges look at that. Am I right?
Yeah.
many times. Basically anytime we go to some
Camp or anything.
lecture of some sort of.
They even
team
tell you that in broadcasting area?
Yeah, you have to be really careful what you do with the day and age of technology and social media. Stuff gets out there, and you just have to be really careful with the things
Yeah.
you say or do.
And who you might have dated when you were 10 and when you're 40 years old, you got to remember that stuff. But
In the final game tonight, Joe Thornton is playing in his 1500th game as an NHL player.
wow,
Yeah.
Joe Thornton. How old is he? He's in his 40s, no?
39.
There.
He's only 39. He's a youngster. Tom Brady's still playing at 43, and he's playing well. Everybody keeps waiting for him to fall off the
He'll play until
cliff.
47, he says.
He's got a wife and 4 kids. He doesn't want to go home.
Way to go, Zach. Family man, Zach Lytle just spoke here, folks, first. Anyhow, we will not be doing the show on Thanksgiving. Am I correct, sir? Dustin?
You can come in. I won't be here.
Yeah, well, yeah. No switchboard, no
No.
Rick. No. So our next show is going to be 4 weeks from tonight. That's December. What we got? December about 6th, somewhere like that. Maybe the 4th. December 4th. Here we go. Hang on. I'm getting the
6.
December 6th, yeah.
December 6th will be our next show. Again, I want to thank everybody that came tonight, especially you, Mr. Parker. These kids have been on before. They're old hat at this. But thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for becoming the play-by-play guy for We can bring you back even out of your retirement, huh? Once you graduate and move on.
Yeah, I'm looking to pursue journalism in college.
So what college you going to? Hopefully around SC. That's right.
That's the long shot with how difficult it is to get in there. But I got a lot of schools lined up as backup plans all along the West Coast.
We won't play a lot of home games, so maybe we can bring you in for just the home games, huh, next year?
Yeah.
So we appreciate you coming and putting in your effort to make this thing a quality show, and also for these kids so that they have something to look back with their kids and grandkids and they say, I remember Parker when you were big on NBC. And Mike Bird, listen to this kid. Mike will be with us Sunday as we do the broadcast alongside our good colleague here, Parker Dunn. We'll be watching Mr. Luca Petroni out there, number 5, if you're looking for him out there, and number 17, Anthony Alvarado, as they take on Tahoe Prep Academy, and I believe is how they say that, right? Is that what they're at? So we welcome them in to our house, and hopefully we perform well. And again, folks, we'll see you on December 6th.
Oh, I was just going to say that Luca's number 5 on the ice and number 1 in your hearts.
Okay.
Number 30 in the classroom.
Oh, come on, Luca. Anyhow, I want to thank everybody again for coming tonight. Listen to our broadcast. We had a fun night. We hopefully exposed some stuff to people out there that are listening. We'll take in. Again, we'll see you Sunday for those folks that show up at our game. 5:20 puck drop with play-by-play by Mr. Parker Dunn.
Yes.
That's my radio voice, Parker Dunn. All right, folks, so my sign-off every time is the same thing. You have to have dreams, right? So keep your skates on the ice and reach for the stars. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.